Welcome back to Stop My Crisis. I am your host, Vivian Gaspar, and here with me today is Jessica Robinson. Jessica is a security and lifestyle expert with nearly 10 years in the private sector for a Fortune 50 company, with responsibilities including leading and supporting a $600 million business in the area of safety and security. She has trained and worked with people from around the world. And Jessica has 3 tips on what people should do in dating in today's world to keep them safe. Jessica, please give me those tips right now.
Yeah. So the top 3 tips that I think anyone can follow is, particularly today when we do online dating, is number 1, look at someone who has a complete profile. So you want to make sure that there's an actual headshot there, that all the questions are completely filled out. You want to make sure that for yourself, you don't have personal information on the file as well.
What type of personal information would that be that someone should leave off?
Your email address and your phone number.
Oh, people actually put that.
Yes, yeah. So if you're just perusing and you're just looking to meet people, you do want to make sure that you keep that information private.
What are the key signs that start to indicate someone might not be safe in a relationship once they've gotten that far?
Yeah, so if you get to a point where the person you're dating wants to see your social media accounts, they want to know what you're posting and how you're posting it.
Oh my goodness.
If they're asking you what you're doing with your time, if they get upset because you're spending too much time with friends or because you're spending too much time with coworkers outside of work, that's definitely a red flag.
I think that sounds like very controlling behavior.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it can be really scary. A lot of times it is about power within a relationship, so we really just want to make sure that when we see those things happening, particularly increasing over a period of time, that's a red flag we're paying attention to.
Let me ask you, what is a typical time frame that someone sees that occurring in? Does that usually occur quickly, or does someone really cultivate that situation of control over a period of months? What's the more typical situation?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I would say typically we would see something like that happening over a period of months because someone is who they is, and so typically that'll start to show pretty quickly. But the truth is, sometimes it shows after people are married, when that's kind of the scary case, when it gets really stressful in a relationship, after children have entered into the relationship. So it's really important at any time that you start to see these red flags go up that you pay attention to it and not ignore them.
Let me ask you, is this more relevant in either dynamic? For example, is this more men controlling, or does this happen with women trying to control men? Is it both sides of the coin?
Yeah, it's both sides of the coin. It's definitely not one way. And then also it can be if you're in a same-sex relationship.
Of course,
that's the case as well. So it's really important that you really pay attention to the behaviors that someone has, because it can be a man or a woman doing this.
Well, I just always like to break the stereotypes. So I just thought I'd check the
I'm
clarity
so glad
on that.
you did. Yeah, I'm so glad I love breaking the stereotype on that too.
Always looking to break the stereotypes. We just had someone on talking about domestic violence where men are the recipients from women, and no one ever thinks of that.
Yeah.
So I just want to always check on that.
Yeah, no, that's
People
fantastic.
should all across the board become of awareness instead of just thinking that it's always in one direction.
Yes,
because of course with same-sex relationships it's either one, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So always breaking that stereotype, that's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely.
And what I want to ask is, do you have any relevant stories that would tie in that you may have encountered in your life with friends or during your work time that you could share with us?
Yeah, sure. Well, one situation that actually came up last week.
Oh, that recently.
Yeah, that recent.
That's recent.
Yeah, that's pretty recent. And so this is a situation where, and one of the other tips I get for someone who could be in a beginning of an abusive relationship is if someone is violating your privacy. And so this is a situation where these were 2 young, early 20-somethings, and they were lying in bed together, and all of a sudden, in this case, the gentleman pulled out a camera and started to take pictures of her. And when she realized this was happening, she said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm sending this to a friend."
Oh.
And this is just a red flag of a situation.
Was it during intimacy or just in general?
It was in general. So it was, I believe it was just after intimacy. And that was definitely
That's
scary.
Very strange.
Yeah, very, very strange, very scary. And so that was a lack of privacy, a lack of respect. Why was he sending that to a friend? Could that have ended up on social media? Could that have hurt, then we could think about.
Had they been together for a while at that point?
They were dating for a few months.
Oh my gosh.
Dating for a few months. And at that point, you know the person. So now the question is, do you call the police? Do you break up with this person? Was this a one-time incident? Could this happen again? Does the person know that they actually stepped over a boundary? And so these are the type of things. And the person that actually was talking to me about this was a parent, and so of the parent of the daughter. And that's what's really scary too. Is it had to be serious when the daughter went to the parents and said, "Hey, something happened while I'm dating," because a lot of times, of course, young people don't always do that. And so that's definitely a great example of a boundary.
That's a fantastic example. One thing I heard not too long ago in some circles I was traveling is someone got married within a matter of 6 months or less. I think it was 4 months of dating. I was really shocked because now it reminds me of your mentioning that this type of behavior happens. Usually the stripes are made clear, or the who the really person comes out clearly after the course of a few months. So do you recommend that someone definitely waits at least a couple of years before getting married so they don't jump into something that's harder to reverse?
I would personally. I would do that, but love is different for everyone, and everyone's different. And I recently saw something where a couple got married literally after 4 months, and so everyone's different. But I do think that's a great thing to do when you can really see people when they're up, when they're down, and not only that, but you're testing them out too, right? You're really trying to make sure that they're the ones that are right for you. So it could be a great way to know to make sure that they're really there for you when you need them most.
So lastly, I would like to find out, what does someone do if they wake up and realize, wow, I think I'm in an abusive relationship. I think that person's being controlling. I'm not used to this. What do I do?
Yeah.
What do you recommend?
Yeah, the first thing I would just say is awesome that you recognize this, because not everyone does recognize it. And one thing I would also say is along the way is just remember that this isn't, abuse isn't just physical. It's also emotional. It's also mental. So I would say at this point, you want to make sure that you include a friend or a family member that can really help you navigate through this, because you need support along the way, whether it's to move in with them or to really think about where you could really live next, or think about if you need to switch jobs, which all of these are really serious things to consider. And then the last thing, reach out to I would say personally, the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I think that they're great when it's free and it's 24/7. And that website is thehotline.org.
That's fantastic information. And do you have one quick last tip that we could end off, a nice takeaway, if you will?
Yes, one thing I would say is I just spoke about emotional abuse and mental abuse. If at any point you see someone who is starting to belittle your beliefs, or think that what you're saying isn't worth it, that also is a really big sign.
I think also image shaming. You know, someone's calling you fat, or trying to tell you you're eating too much.
Exactly.
Something along those lines. People don't recognize that as controlling or abusive behavior, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jessica. It was fantastic having you on, and people should have their eyes wide open. Thank you.
Thank you so much.